All right, good evening, everyone. Just to bring you up to speed on the five-alarm fire that we experienced yesterday in Charlotte. Earlier today, Charlotte fire investigators discovered the remains of two bodies at the site of the five-alarm fire in the 7700 block of Liberty Row Road. Charlotte firefighters assisted in retrieving the bodies, which have been now transported to the Mecklenburg County Medical Examiner's Office. They're going to have the responsibility of verifying and identifying the identification and notifying next of kin. To update you on the Charlotte fire investigation, yesterday we did say that it was an accidental fire. I have a little bit more information to share on that. It actually started in a spray insulation foam trailer that was located on the ground floor. Still accidental, but at least able to identify it to a particular piece of equipment at that time. We seldom have large fires of this magnitude. If you go back and look at whether it's a five-alarm fire, something of this magnitude, it does not always happen here in the city of Charlotte. So we were very fortunate the other day to, although we've had a loss of life, we had two people that have lost their lives. On behalf of the men and women of the Charlotte Fire Department, we want to make sure we send our condolences to the families and friends. Charlotte Fire Department has been on the scene ever since the fire yesterday. We're in the process of doing evaluation at the scene to see if we can clear units up and allow them to return to quarters. We'll have that decision later on tonight as to whether we're going to do that. We appreciate all of the partnerships that we have with CMPD. Medic has been a big help, as well as the Office of the State Fire Marshal came by and assisted us as well as North Carolina Emergency Management. So we've had a lot of partners that have assisted us along the way. Charlotte Water is another one. Mrs. Charles was definitely helpful when it came to fighting that fire. We are grateful for those. And again, we'd like to express our sympathies to the families and friends. And when we take questions, I'll be available. Chief Jennings.
Thank you. First, I'll just say that I've been with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department for 31 years. I've never, ever seen a fire of this magnitude that has impacted our community the way this has. It's devastating, heartbreaking. We offer our condolences as well to the two members of our community who perished in the fire and lost their lives. I do want to commend the heroic efforts by the Charlotte Fire Department yesterday to see their actions to disregard their own life to go in and save others and try to preserve life was just amazing, and it's a demonstration of what public safety is all about and what we are all about when it comes to serving our community. So CMPD's role in this yesterday was to make sure that we kept our firefighters safe by blocking traffic and mitigating traffic and redirecting, as well as evacuations that had to take place with surrounding areas. We had to ensure that our citizens were safe that were in the line of fire, and that we wanted to get them to safe locations, and that was a huge part of what we did. And we had officers that quickly were able to develop a traffic plan and to mitigate traffic as much as possible. I also want to commend our aviation, our flight team with Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. They were able to have eye in the sky and direct the CFD as well as CMPD as far as what was going on from a bird's eye view. And that was ever important to make sure that we were appropriately mitigating what we saw out there at the fire site yesterday. Also, special thanks to the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office. This took a great deal of resources, particularly from our side, to mitigate the traffic and to redirect traffic. Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office stepped up to the plate, and they provided resources for us to help us do the jobs that was necessary for this. At this point in the investigation, the Arson Task Force, which is comprised of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, Charlotte Fire Department, State Bureau of Investigations, and ATF, will continue this investigation, and we'll hopefully be able to give you timely updates as the investigation continues. So I'll ask the mayor to come up now. Thank you.
Good afternoon. You've heard the words difficult and devastating, and you've heard about seeking the answers that people require when something like this happens. And I'm really proud to stand in this place today and have these gentlemen with us to say thank you for what you've been doing and your leadership and the work that you're doing. But we also recognize 2 families are missing loved ones today. One of those families is family member is DeMonte Sherrill. His family said he was a hard worker, a loving father, and a family man. I want your family to know, Mr. Sherrill's family to know, that we grieve with you, especially for Mr. Sherrill's children. To the loved ones of the second individual that has been acknowledged today, please know that we stand, our community, our city stands with you. We're here to offer our support, comfort, and assistance because you're not alone in your grief. I want to assure everyone that our public safety officials, in collaboration with all of the agencies that you've heard mentioned here today, are working diligently to provide answers. It's important that we get the information right, so there's going to be a lot more to be said about this. I live just a few blocks from where the fire occurred, and I walk by it often. In fact, sometimes the restaurants, office buildings, and see all of those people in that community of SouthPark. And I can just tell you that they stood and watched this. And I know today that we're all really glad that we saw the collaboration that was necessary for us to make this something that was extinguished in a 5-alarm fire. It is really remarkable. So I want to say thanks to our exceptional first responders, including the brave men and women of the Charlotte Fire Department, our police department, medic, and the many invaluable collaborations that you've already heard about. Your remarkable bravery and your training allowed for the successful rescue of 15 people from that fire who were able to go home to their loved ones. You truly are our heroes. This is just another reminder to hug your loved ones, cherish the time that you have with them. It's also a time to take pride in our public services. And when we talk about tragedy, we show the value of having dedicated people in our community who courageously serve our residents each and every day. I'm really proud of every one of the people in this community that assisted in bringing this to a closure. Even though it was very difficult to have this loss, we know that we did our very best, and that is really something that we should be proud of. Thank you. Mr. Bakari?
Today, we gather together as one with heavy hearts and a profound sense of loss. Our beloved city has endured a devastating blow as this ferocious fire shocked our community and stole 2 precious lives from our midst. In this moment of darkness, we find solace in each other's presence, drawing strength from the bonds that unite us all. Today, we stand as a testament to the indomitable spirit that defines our city, a spirit that refuses to be defeated in the face of tragedy. Our hearts ache for those we have lost, for the dreams and aspirations that have been extinguished too soon. Their absence will be felt deeply, and their memory will forever remain etched in our collective consciousness. Let's hold their families close, surrounding them with our love and support as they navigate this unimaginable sorrow. In the face of adversity, however, we must also remember to honor the heroes who emerged from the smoke and flames. Our firefighters and police and medic, these extraordinary men and women who rush towards danger when instinct tells the rest of us to run away. They are the embodiment of selflessness and courage and unwavering guardians of our city. Their heroics, witnessed in the face of this inferno, have reminded us of the depths of their dedication and their bravery. They battled the relentless blaze, risking their lives without hesitation to save others. Their action stands as a testament to the noblest qualities of humanity, a testament that reminds us why we are Charlotte strong. Today, we must pay tribute to these brave souls who ran into the fire, defying all odds to protect our community. They exemplify the very essence of public service and remind us in times of crisis the true character of a city is revealed. To our firefighters who faced the roaring flames with unyielding determination, you are a guiding light in the darkest of times. We salute your selflessness, your tireless efforts, and your unbreakable spirit. Today and every day, we are eternally grateful for your service. There is still much work to do. In the wake of this tragedy, let us come together as a united force, a beacon of resilience and hope. Let us embrace the families who have suffered immeasurable loss, providing them with the love and support they so desperately need. Let us honor the memories of those we have lost by reaffirming our commitment to the values that define us: compassion, unity, and strength. We have already begun to think about how we can forever memorialize the heroics and the tragedies we have seen over the last 30 hours. And when the time is right, we will move to create something we can all be proud of. As we rebuild, let us remember that the strength of a community lies not only in its infrastructure, but in the resilience of its people. Let us support one another, lending a helping hand to those who have lost so much. Together, we will rise from these ashes, creating a brighter, more vibrant future for our beloved city and the amazing SouthPark community.
Have a couple minutes for a couple of questions. If you could identify who you're directing your question to.
Thank you. Chief Johnson, you said the fire started in the insulation spray trailer. Give more details of whether it was an equipment malfunction or what may have sparked it.
No, there's no additional information other than that. Obviously, the building is still in a state where it's not safe for all our members to go in there. We have been able to identify that it started in that trailer area, so we can't pinpoint the specific cause.
And where was that in relation to the site?
So it was on the ground floor. That's what I was told, where the trailer was located.
Inside the building?
Yes.
Chief, can you talk about the efforts to save those two men who were lost in the fire?
I can tell you specifically, talking to the company that was up on the 6th floor. It was actually the company that actually called the Mayday, because they had gone up and done a search and were searching in an area, obviously, with limited visibility, and getting in there and trying to locate them. They didn't visually see them. Obviously, they were going by sound and trying to get to them, but were unable to get there before conditions changed, as you saw in the video, to a point where they end up getting in situation themselves and having to call a Mayday, where we had to send another company to actually help escort them out. Or we may be talking about more tragedy than just the two gentlemen or two individuals that we're talking about today.
That's actually what I wanted to follow on. Can you talk about the long-term impacts of just fighting a five-alarm fire and those two Maydays on your firefighters?
Well, physically, thank the Lord, everyone is physically fine. There were no injuries yesterday, which is a blessing in itself. Behavioral health or mentally, I mean, there could be some things that we need to talk about there. I've actually talked to the captain there myself and had some conversations. As you know, behavioral health is one of the things that I've pushed here in the Charlotte Fire Department. We have a lot of resources to help them, and our members do participate in that, and I would anticipate that we'll have some peer support members reach out to them and just make contact and make sure that everyone's doing okay on that. We all try to play Monday morning quarterback on what we could have done and should have done, but I'm telling you, and I heard it from the mayor and Mr. Bakari as well, that, you know, everyone did the best they could. I think they did well beyond the best they could. I think they did a fantastic job in light of the situation that they faced.
Chief, walk us through this, because where I was at my vantage point, you could see the smoke of the fire clear and you could see it collapse upon itself at some point. Walk us through that, when you guys realized that it's too dangerous to even go in anymore, that you're waiting for it to collapse. How do you guys reach that point?
You know, it comes with experience, right? And we have some experienced incident commanders. Our operations chief actually ended up taking command during that fire. He's number 2. He's over all of operations, and he took that. Unless we're actually able to see the video together, it'd be very difficult for me to answer that. But I can tell you, this is a building under construction. We talk about doing spray and foam insulation. There's no drywall in these buildings, so there's nothing to prevent fire spread. So I know it was a little breezy yesterday. I'm not saying it was a wind-driven fire, but I'm simply saying there was a breeze. And that in itself could expand fire much quicker than you can see on the outside from inside. And when you start to see the amount of black smoke that you saw coming out of that building, our firefighters will tell you that black smoke is fuel, and all it takes is a little bit of a light to light it off, and I'm sure you saw that in some of the videos.
How quickly, or what was the time frame maybe between the Mayday calls and able to get your people out from the time when it actually collapsed?
We're still going to be looking at that. I don't have that information today. We're still capturing information. We'll listen to the audio tapes. We'll try to get with our investigators and see what type of videos we do have that we can kind of go back and look at and do a side-by-side comparison on times. But I don't have that information for you today.
And Chief, can I ask, this was a wooden structure. Do we know how often we have these wooden structures in Charlotte and how dangerous they are?
Obviously, we haven't had a fire like this in decades, if ever. This is the new pedestal style construction where your first 2 floors are basically cement or masonry, and then your top floors are wood. A lot of the structures that are built now, not just here in Charlotte, but all over the country, are built in this magnitude. Once they are completely drywalled and the sprinkler systems installed, obviously they're much safer than they are during construction, where it's a lot more open. The wood is not as protected with the drywall as it normally would be.
Chief, you say you're evaluating what's going on right now. What's your concern right now with the site?
We don't want any hot spots to spur up another fire of any kind, and so we want to make sure that all the fire is out before we do anything, making sure that, as Chief Jennings mentioned, our arson task force, our fire investigators are good with everything that they have, and they don't need any more information before we turn it back over.
Was there an explosion of the truck? We had heard possibly.
No truck explosion. I was there. I didn't hear any truck explosion.
How long before the fire was under control?
Again, I'd have to go back and look at the time frame. We were on scene for a period of time, and I'm not quite sure when we called the control time. I'd have to go back and look at our CAD notes.
You know, ladder 2 was on the broadcast. Ladder 2 was where the respondent was going to help get that crane operated. Did ladder 2 actually help with that rescue in the end, or did the building collapse on ladder 2?
No, so I don't know the specifics on your last question as far as the building collapsing on ladder 2. I can tell you that the brave men that were on ladder 2 set that ladder up to protect the crane, to keep the crane from collapsing. I believe the fire in Raleigh, they actually had the crane collapse, which causes yet another hazard that we need to be worried about. It was definitely unsafe for them to stay there, but they had the truck flowing at that point in time. And I think I missed the first part of your question, if you want to ask it again.
The only other question was, could you, Mayor, maybe, or the Chief, I know you named the one worker. Could you name the second worker?
Is that for me or the mayor?
I think it's for the chief.
We're,
I can answer that.
we're not naming the second person. Anyone have any other questions for anyone else other than the chief?
Yeah, Chief, can you talk about the efforts to rescue that crane operator and everything that went into that?
So there was obviously putting the water on the crane itself was to kind of keep it from collapsing. Once we got to a point where we could actually gain access to that, our rescue company went up, provided him some protective equipment. You can imagine how hot that metal had to be, and he was able to climb down, and then we got him to medic for evaluation.
And we were hearing that some of
So we did, the fire spread rapidly, and we had equipment set up. Ladder 2 was one of those that was actually set up in a very good position early on, but the spread of the fire was even greater than our master streams at the time. We were not able to get ladder 2 out of that particular situation. We did move 2 others that were in a perilous position, but ladder 2 was still operating even after the fire was extinguished. So we'll have some paint work and maybe some wiring and some other things to do on that, but I don't believe they're total loss at this point.
Does anyone have any questions for anyone else other than Chief Johnson?
Chief Jennings, was there any issues with your officers, like any issues with citizens not getting them to react properly to avoiding the area or having to evacuate them? Were there any issues at all?
Well, we did have reports that some of the citizens did want to get back into the parking garage to get their vehicles, and that's really what spurred the response from CMPD and the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office as well. But they were able to quickly gain control of the site, keep our firefighters safe, and shut down the roads and mitigate the traffic that was needed to be done. So.
And Chief, were there any issues with exits and entryways with this particular construction site? We may have heard that there was only one way in, one way out. Was that the case here?
Yeah, well, I can't answer that specifically as far as how many entry and exit ways were in the construction site. I do know that there were several people that we were able to evacuate from there, as well as other people from other buildings that we were able to evacuate and make sure that they were safe. So, yes.
You mentioned earlier that this is the worst fire you've seen here in 31 years. Can you expand just a little bit on that? I mean,
Yeah.
personally, just showing up and seeing that, have you ever seen anything close to it?
Not even close. Like Chief Johnson mentioned, 5-alarm fires. This magnitude of fire is very rare, not just in Charlotte, but just anywhere. And to be able to be in the position that we are in right now to see a fire such as this one, and unfortunately that resulted in the loss of lives, it's a career. It's once in a career thing, hopefully, that we won't ever see again in a very long time. But yeah, I've never, we've always seen fires, house fires, things that has probably taken the lives of our citizens, but to see the flames and the smoke that came out as a part of this fire was something that I've never witnessed before.
So just to kind of piggyback on the question, right, was we don't see fires of this magnitude, but the Charlotte Fire Department was able to keep it to that one building. There was a twin building literally on the other side of ladder 2 that started to catch fire, but we were able to extinguish that. There were 7 other buildings that the embers coming from the fire actually started some roof fires. So we did have several other incidents that we had to take on along with this 5-alarm fire just to make sure that we didn't have any other significant incidents occurring. And so I'm going to commend the men and women of the department for the work that they've done.
Had the fire department ever had to respond to that particular work site before?
Again, I'd have to go back and do a history check. I don't have that information for you.
Chief Johnson, you mentioned that mental health piece. That is what I was asking about. What do the members of your department need today, tomorrow, and in the weeks ahead?
They do appreciate the community support, the support of our elected officials, the city manager's office. They appreciate the support that they get. Oftentimes, they're not always on the front page of media and gaining that notoriety. But the reality is the men and women of this department do what they did the other day, every day, whether it's a 5-alarm fire or whether we're running a medical call or a vehicle accident. And when you talk about behavioral health, the men and women come here to serve and to save lives. And so when you talk about behavioral health, we obviously want to be 100% every time we go to a fire. And so they're going to carry the fact that they didn't get to everybody on this scene. And so we want to make sure we take care of them and have the opportunity for them to be able to express that.
Chief, do you know the last time there was a 5-alarm fire in Charlotte?
I can't answer that. So we had a 5-alarm fire. It was probably less than a year ago down on South Tryon Street. It was a storage fire. It went to 5 alarms, not because of the volume of fire, but it was a July night. It was probably 90% humidity, and we needed the staff to make sure that we were not burning anyone out.
Sorry,
yes, last one, yes.
Sorry. It's, a few minutes ago, you mentioned, or you alluded to, there may be more tragedy beyond the 2 lives lost. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Are you speaking about firefighters that may have been injured?
I don't remember saying that, but refresh my memory as far as additional tragedy. Oh, yes, it absolutely could have been. When I said it could have been more tragedy, if our firefighters weren't able to escape, we'd be talking about 2 lives lost, which, you know, again, we express our sympathies for, but we could have had 3 to 4 firefighters that also could have perished in there, if not more than that.
Any injuries, or how are the firefighters?
No injuries reported.